Well, as Joanne noted, February is about love. And we love all kinds of things, don't we? We love television shows, and we love clothes, and we love cars. We particularly love chocolate, right? It's understandable. But really, when we think of love, we think of romantic love. And I'm all for romantic love, Gene. I want you to know that. Sometimes maybe I don't do it well enough, but I'm all for romantic love. But I'm up here to talk about ultimate truth about love. So I think to say, talking about ultimate truth, I need to tell you that I hate to shop for clothes. That's an ultimate truth. I absolutely hate to shop for clothes. Now, I'm not going to tell you some of the misadventures. This is a spiritual setting. Although last time Gene took me, I ended up on the floor of Macy's vomiting. They thought I was having a heart attack. You want details of how much I hate shopping, you'll have to talk to Gene. But sometimes she tells me that she's looking for some clothes. She'll say, you know, I'm really looking for a sweater that's this color with this design. And when she does that, every opportunity I get, like at lunch, I'll run up to the store and go shopping for her. And I'll search through sweaters and I'll do all kinds of things to buy her that sweater. Now, I don't always get the one she wanted, I have to admit that. But it's enjoyable to me, and I put a lot of effort in it. Now, I really like all of you. But Angie could describe to me any clothes he wants, and I promise you, I'm not going to go shopping for him, and I'm not going to buy it for him. Sorry. Because romantic love is by design selfish. That's what it is. Romantic love is a way that we distinguish one person from other people. And we say, you're special. We say, you have something about you that I love, that I want to interact with more than anybody else. That's the design of romantic love. To distinguish, to be selfish, to make us feel good about a relationship with one particular person. Now, Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. And the Tao Te Ching says, for love is victorious in attack and invincible in defense. And the concept of a Buddha, you probably know, is that this person has reached a state of enlightenment where they can be freed from all of the troubles that we experience here in this life. And yet, for love of mankind, they choose to come back to live among us again. Now, how can these spiritual masters be talking about love when we've just said that love is a selfish kind of relationship? Well, let me tell you one experience I had recently. Gene and I just got back from a trip to Korea. And that was South Korea. I was not playing basketball with Deja. And we had a wonderful time there. I was there for work purposes, and I gave some talks and stuff. But they were wonderful hosts and really didn't schedule me for a lot of work. And instead, they actually arranged for all of these sightseeing experience, and they drove us around, and we got to see amazing things. We got to see these, 1,000-year-old ancient palaces of the kings, and an old villages. One of them was like it was 600 years ago. And we got to see numerous Buddhist temples. And everything there from those time frames are very symbolic. Like we saw the palace where they have the spiritual tablets of the kings who had passed away. And this is where during certain ceremonies they call back the spirits of these kings, and they have these elaborate festivals. But they have these brick walkways that go along the place. And the middle of them is raised. And in the ceremonies, the king would walk on one side and the lesser officials on the other. But nobody walks down that middle raised path because that's for the spirits. And there were a lot of very symbolic things in the temples. Some of these were wonderful old Buddhist temples, although we also saw some new ones that were actually being, where there were ceremonies going on at the time. But in some of them, like there was the Buddha of the present and the Buddha of the future. And that's for the living. And they would have red lanterns because that symbolized life. And sometimes there was the Buddha of the past, and that was for those who passed away. And they would have white lanterns, because white is the color of death in much of Asia. So much of it was symbolic, and we saw several old Buddhist, large Buddhist statues, wood painted gold, or some very old bronze ones. And we've talked about before how the Buddha is holding his hands is often symbolic of some particular concept. And one of them, this is the first time I had seen this particular one, the guide explained it to us. It's a very basic concept of Buddhism. And the Buddha was holding one hand with one finger stand up in the air, and the other hand is on top of it grasping that finger. And our guide explained that this was the concept that heaven and earth are the same. That the most enlightened Buddha is the same as the most common person. That the great is the same as the small. In other words, that all things are one. And we've been talking about this oneness path for some time now. And this is a basic spiritual principle. And how does that relate to love? Well, as I said, the romantic love is designed to be judgmental. Now, because it's of this outside world. When I was in psychology many, many, many years ago, a person talked about an experiment. And I'm glad to say he talked about it and didn't require us to do it, because what the experiment was, and you can think about this, is you get saliva in your mouth and then you swallow it. And then you get saliva in your mouth and you spit it in a glass and then drink it. Sounds pretty gross. But the fact is, when that saliva is an integral part of us, we naturally accept it. But once it's not a part of us, then we start making judgments about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Do we want this? Because that's how our normal life is. It's all about judgments. Is this safe? Is this dangerous? Is this healthy? Is this bad? Is it good? Is it bad? That's what it's all about. But when it's part of us, we accept it totally. Now remember what I said earlier. The Master Jesus could have said, love thy neighbor. But that's not what he said. He said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Now what is he saying? Is he saying we should be egotists and be in love with ourselves? Or is he saying, accept your neighbor as the same as yourself? Because if your neighbor is you, you will automatically accept and love him. This is the spiritual key. This is the key to the oneness path. That if we can see others not like us, but see them as us, and understand that this connection is everything, then we will be getting to that point where we can live a true life. Now, we have our choice, and we have all made that choice to be here. We are part of this life, and we're part of this life. We know we make distinctions. We know on this level of existing day to day, we make judgments. And we need to, and it's very good for us. And one of the very good parts of that is that judgment to love. And that judgment to have, when it's right for us, romantic love for one person. And that's a wonderful thing that really helps us in this life. But we all know we have a choice. We have a choice to come to the PLC every Sunday as a nice social event. To see our friends and to visit and to hear a little bit maybe of inspiration, and then to go back to life as usual. Or we have a choice to say we are going to return to that beginning where we chose to break off, where we chose to participate in the illusion of separation, and we have a choice to go back to the path of oneness. And the very, very best step to do that is spiritual love. Is the love to accept and love everyone and take them in as ourselves. And when we do that, we become the light of the world. Thank you.